So good morning, shalom, buenos dias, and welcome to this LinkedIn live event by Bayer. It's great to see so many people joining in from all over the world. I see people from Latin America, Australia, US, Asia, and Europe calling in. A big and warm welcome to all of you. My name is Hugo. I'm the Managing Director of Bayer Israel, and I'm going to be your host for the next hour, and I believe we have a great hour ahead of us. So during the next 60 minutes, you will get to learn more about Bayer's G4A program, meet some representatives from some highly innovative and exciting Israeli companies who has worked with Bayer and G4A in the past, and learn more about the Israeli innovation ecosystem. So first, why do we do this kind of meeting? What is it we want to achieve? Short answer, collaboration. Bayer is constantly looking for innovative, creative, agile startups and companies who would be interested in collaborating with us. And one way of facilitating this collaboration is through G4A. And during today's session, you'll hopefully learn more about what G4A is all about. And who knows, maybe our next collaboration partner is listening in on this event to that. With that being said, I would like to introduce you to our speakers today. With us today is Mike Devoy, Chief Medical Officer, Head of Medical Affairs and Pharmacovigilance in Bayer. Karina Rubinstein is jumping in on a very late notice for a person who unfortunately had to hand in a sick leave. But Karina Rubinstein is Senior Director of Business Development at the Israeli Innovation Authority. We have Michal Meiri, the CEO of Agamon, Yossi Bahagon, co-founder and chairman of Sweetch, and Dominic Kennerson, which is the global head of G4A. So to all of you listening online, please take the opportunity to interact with us, give us feedback, use the keyboard to punch in some comments online. We would really appreciate that. And if you don't mind, also ask us some questions. I cannot guarantee you that we will be able to address all of them, but we will try our very much our best during the next 55 minutes. Speaker, and my introduction here is also a personal reflection. Lived in Israel now for about 2 years and learned to understand the ecosystem. So Karina, I'm now going to brag a little bit about Israel, and then hopefully you can bridge your presentation into my bragging, because in the past we've seen a significant number of applicants and also winners for G4A coming out of Israel. And to better understand why is this so, I believe it's important to take a closer look at the Israeli ecosystem of innovation. And our next speaker represents the Israeli Innovation Authority, a vital stakeholder in one of the most innovative countries in the world. Actually, and according to the World Economic Forum's Global Competitiveness Report, Israel is the second most innovative country in the world. Israel has the largest number of startups per capita in the world. Several thousands were founded just in the past decade, and Israel is home to more than 350 R&D centers of some of the world's largest multinationals. And I also read an article this morning. There are more unicorns, companies valued more than $1 billion, coming out of Israel than in the whole of Europe. Now I've been bragging enough to give us some more insights to this fantastic ecosystem. I'm happy and honored to welcome Karina Rubinstein, Senior Director of Business Development at the Israeli Innovation Authority Startup Division. And thanks again, Karina, for stepping in on such a short notice. It's highly appreciated. Karina, please.
So thank you so much, Hugo, and everybody from Bayer and everybody from the world. I'm so excited to be here. It's really an honor. So thank you again. And thank you for bragging on Israel. I think we've done quite a lot in these past 2 years since you've landed here. And things are moving fast, I'm happy to say. But, you know, having said all of that, this is really an opportunity for Bayer to jump into other opportunities we offer as a government agency here. And you know them all. I'm nagging on a daily basis. But Bayer is really so involved here already in 2 incubators we are supporting and in other activities. So really, it's a great activity and will probably be even larger than that. So How does Israel done all of that up until now? We started actually with our visionary Herzl back in the late 19th century, while he was actually visioning the state of Israel. And then afterwards, along the time, actually the involvement of multinationals have started here, and we ran from an R&D nation by the chief scientist office here in the government of Israel, through all all of the years up until the early 90s, where the government has actually invested in the venture capital industry here and helped create that. So Yozma was taking place in the early 90s, and then over the years, when the startup nation has created through that, we have turned actually ourselves from a unit in the ministry Ministry of Commerce into an independent authority in order to make more than we can with the government's budget, with the government's money. Turning on from 2016 up until today, we are moving from startup nation actually into a scale-up nation, and this really is a task that we are looking at right now. As resonating to what Hugo mentioned just now, Israel has a civilian expenditure on R&D, the highest percentage out of the GDP. We are competing with South Korea on the first place here, way over the average in the world. So that said, with the involvement of multinationals here and nearly 400 R&D centers, and the HealthTech is being 50% of the HealthTech products turning into from these R&D centers of the multinationals here in Israel. Why indeed does it need to have a government involvement here in such a very successful ecosystem? So what makes it so successful? I think over the years we have created here a functioning ecosystem, cross-proliferation of all the ingredients needed in this ecosystem, and this is already orchestrating and working very well. From human capital coming out of the defense system in Israel, top-notch research in the academia, a lot of private funding that pours in, companies, multinational companies, and mentioned before, the startup ecosystem, and so on. And of course, the government's involvement here. And the government involvement role is needed really to complement the private money. We have three directions that we actually pouring the money into, where we act upon market failures, or we call it, where there's a scarce of private money, not enough startups being created, tough markets, and so on, where we can remove barriers to entry to market and create new growth engines. And so just to say a few words about us as the main government agency, with our main mission is to promote the Israel economy through investments in innovation and sustainable and inclusive innovation. And we work the Israel Innovation Authority bottom up. The market approaches us. We had in 2020 last year, although it was a tough year in all ways, we received 3,500 submissions, which is way beyond average, and we managed to support with nearly $700 million dollars of our budget into these industry applications. So we supporting across the scale from single entrepreneur to large companies, and we work on conditional loans, where actually we give grants, and if you're successful and reach market, you repay us as royalties out of your sales, and if not, we share the failure, as they say. So sharing the failure is one of the items that makes this ecosystem actually functioning and growing, because startups are even if they fail, these entrepreneurs keep on trying to the next startup, and with our grants and help, they can do so. This is non-dilutive funding that we give, and it helps them actually move to the next stage. That said, just to in the context of Bayer and this marvelous event, we are investing in the future of tech, and one of our strategies now is moving into the HealthTech, next HealthTech, so future medicine solutions. We call it BioConvergence. It's a national strategy that we help move on, promote. And it's actually the intersection between engineering and biology. And this is the face of the future as we see it in these complex solutions facing the challenges of the global health. We are not the only ones that are saying that. You can look at the McKinsey report of this year. The bioconvergence is going to be have a global economic impact, and it's a huge market that we are going to invest in. We already started in 2020, and we're going to invest in the next decade in all ways. And one of the opportunities there for international collaborations, of course, and we would like help to promote it very much, and this is an opportunity to do so. So having said all of that, thank you so much again for this opportunity.
That is perfect. Thank you so much. I had, actually, I got a questions in advance for you guys, and it was basically for those companies who now want to reach out to the Israeli Innovation Authority. There are outside companies that want to establish themselves in Israel, or there are already Israeli companies. I guess they would know very well about you. Is it just to reach out and contact you? Will you be? Do you have a service department that basically take care of all these requests that you're getting? How does it work, Karina? Can you give a very short answer to this one?
So as you know, I'm very I'm very approachable, and no problem approaching me. We have a service, of course, and there's no problem. We can be reached through email, through WhatsApp, phone, of course, all the proper ways, or unorthodox ways as well.
Fantastic. Thank you so much again. And for doing this on such a short notice. I tell the audience you did this with a request of less than 24 hours notice. So thank you, Karina, and I'm sure we will speak again very soon.
Thank you so much.
Our next